So what if the entire universe, everything you see, everything you feel, and the you that's experiencing it all, were fundamentally the exact same thing? I mean, really think about that for a second. That's the absolutely startling claim at the heart of Advaita Vedanta, one of the most profound and intellectually rigorous philosophies ever conceived. It offers a vision of reality that challenges, well, pretty much everything we think we know. And it all comes down to this one famous, and let's be honest, kind of baffling statement from its greatest teacher, Adi Shankaracharya. Brahman alone is real. The world is an illusion. The individual self is not other than Brahman. Now your first reaction is probably, nope, the world is not an illusion. This desk is real. This chair is real. But Advaita just asks us to pause and to look a little closer. So that's the big question we're going to dive into right now. What does this bold, ancient claim actually mean? Because this isn't just some vague, mystical saying. It's the conclusion of a highly structured philosophical argument. So let's break it down and see what it's really telling us about the nature of reality. And you know, the first clue is right there in the name, Advaita. It literally means not two. It's such a simple idea, but it's the bedrock of this entire system. The core thesis is that underneath the surface of all the billions of different things we see, reality is fundamentally one, singular, undivided whole. Not two things, just one. Okay, so that brings us right to the big problem, doesn't it? If reality is not two, then why do I look around and see a world of countless separate things? Advaita's answer is a really fascinating and crucial concept called Maya, which usually gets translated as cosmic illusion. But Maya isn't just a simple blanket of fog. It's said to have two very distinct powers. The first is called avarana, and it's the power to conceal. Imagine walking at dusk and seeing something on the ground, but the dim light hides what it really is, a coiled rope. Then the second power kicks in, vikshepa, the power to project. In that dim light, your mind projects the image of a snake onto that rope. That's Maya in a nutshell. First, it hides the one reality, and then it projects the appearance of the many. And this is so important because it explains why illusion doesn't mean the world is totally non-existent. Advaita has this brilliant way of categorizing reality into three levels. First, you have the apparent reality, like something you see in a dream. It feels real at the time, but the moment you wake up, it's gone. Then there's the empirical reality, our normal, waking world. It's consistent, we all share it, it follows rules. But even this level is ultimately superseded by the absolute reality, the final, unchanging truth that nothing can cancel out. So the world isn't unreal, it's just not absolutely real. So what is that absolute reality? Well, it's called Brahman. This is the formless, limitless, unchanging foundation of everything that exists. It's described as Satchit Ananda, which means absolute existence, pure consciousness, and absolute bliss. This is the rope that Maya's twilight seems to hide from us. All right, now let's flip the script and look in the other direction, inward. What is the true you? Advaita says, look, it's not your body, it's not your thoughts, it's not your personality or your ego. The real self, the Atman, is the silent, unchanging witness consciousness. It's the pure awareness that observes all of your experiences, happy, sad, boring, but is never, ever affected by them. It's like the screen on which the entire movie of your life is playing. And this is where it all leads. This is the mic drop moment of the whole philosophy. Advaita declares that Atman, that pure witnessing consciousness inside of you, and Brahman, the ultimate reality of the entire universe, they're not just connected, they are in fact identical. They are one and the same. The individual self is the universal self. And this isn't some idea that was tacked on later. This is the central teaching of the ancient Upanishads, boiled down into what are called the Great Sayings. And the most famous one is simply this, Tat Twam Asi, which translates to, you are that. You, the pure consciousness witnessing this very moment, are that, the ultimate reality of everything. So you have these profound, mind-bending insights scattered throughout these ancient texts. Who was the one who took them all and forged them into this coherent, powerful, world-changing philosophical system? Well, that would be the master architect himself, Adi Shankaracharya. So let's kind of trace the flow here. The foundational truths, these revelations about reality, they first appear in the ancient Upanishads. But it was Shankara, this brilliant philosopher monk from the 8th century, who came along and just masterfully organized all these teachings. He built an intellectual temple that would preserve them for centuries and eventually inspire the modern, global non-duality movements that we see all over the world today. His contribution was just massive. He wrote the definitive commentaries on the core scriptures, which basically locked in the non-dual interpretation for future generations. He unified all the different threads into a single cohesive framework. He established 4 great monasteries across India, which are still there today, creating a durable lineage to carry the teaching forward. And crucially, he argued that liberation doesn't come from religious rituals, it comes from pure knowledge. And this right here leads to a really critical shift in perspective. See, if you are already Brahman, then liberation isn't about becoming something new. You can't achieve what you already are. The problem isn't a lack of action on your part, it's a lack of knowledge. The whole path is simply about removing the ignorance, that veil of Maya, that's hiding this fundamental truth from you. So Shankara laid out a really clear 3-stage path for this removal of ignorance. First is Shravana, which is hearing the teaching from a qualified guide and from the scriptures. Second is Manana, deep reflection, using your own logic to work through every single intellectual doubt you might have. And finally, there's Nididhyasana, profound meditation, where that intellectual understanding sinks in and becomes a direct, lived, unshakable experience. So what's the end game? What's the goal of all this? It's a state called Jivan Mukti, which means liberation while living. It's not about getting to some heaven after you die. It's about realizing a state of complete inner freedom, unshakable peace, and profound wisdom right here, right now, in this very life. It's the ultimate psychological freedom. Okay, so that's the core philosophy. But how does this radical idea of non-duality fit into the broader world of ideas, both back then in India and around the globe today? Its legacy is just vast, and it continues to unfold. To really get why Advaita was so groundbreaking, it helps to see it next to its philosophical cousins in the Vedanta tradition. You had other views like qualified non-dualism, which says the soul is a distinct part of God, like a spark from a fire. Then you have dualism, which says the soul and God are forever separate. Advaita's claim that the soul isn't a part of God or separate from God, but is absolutely identical to the ultimate reality, that's what makes it so uniquely radical. And, these ideas eventually rippled all the way across the globe. The American transcendentalists, guys like Emerson and Thoreau, were deeply inspired by these non-dual themes. The German philosopher Schopenhauer famously called the Upanishads the solace of his life. And even the great psychologist Carl Jung saw profound parallels with his own explorations of the deep psyche and consciousness. And this teaching continues to evolve, which is what makes it a living tradition. Traditional Advaita is a deep, scholarly path, often requiring serious monastic discipline. But the modern non-duality movement, which was really kicked off by sages in the 20th century, has adapted it for a global audience. It often focuses less on ancient scriptures and more on the direct psychological investigation of your own experience of consciousness, making that core insight accessible to anyone, anywhere. So we'll leave you with this. Advaita asks you to look at the one thing you can be absolutely sure of, the simple awareness that is witnessing this moment. That awareness was there when you were 5 years old, it's here now, and it watches all your thoughts, feelings, and experiences come and go without ever changing itself. If that core awareness is stable and universal, what does that really say about who or what you truly are?